Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. These kind of questions I like to read. How does Swamiji construct the thought process by these beginning talks? I have 6 recordings of the same Shanti mantra revealed by same Swamiji. 6 times? This is the 7th recording. Why each recording is always rewarding and exciting? That's what I like to hear. My simple answer is grace, really, in the sense that what gets said, and Shanti mantra in itself doesn't require any construct of the thoughts because it itself provides you the thought process. And I just simply read the Tika, and fortunately I don't remember what I said last time. That may help. But I guess, the audience is different every time. And what the speaker says also very much depends upon the listeners. And very often listeners invoke, I guess, what the speaker says. That's why every time it's a unique combination of the listeners and the speaker. And this time its combination is more unique because of the different, strata of the listeners, which is a greater challenge than if you had one consistent thing. But I guess the text, the listeners, whole combination must be in some way responsible for what is said. Also, when you've been teaching for so long, lots of constructs are already in there without a deliberate thinking. And therefore, I guess one thing occurs after the other. And that's how, I guess, in all these 7th recordings, the Swami also is different. If you said something 3 years ago, this Swami is different from that one in some ways. Or whatever. So that's what must decide, what happens. But that you find it revealing and exciting is simply grace of the Gurus and grace of Ishvara. This is, as I said, just a broadcasting station. So I cannot and should not claim any authorship. Yes, not for Shanti mantras, even for everything I do some preparation by the way. I don't come to the class just blank. So I do go through the portion that is going to be done, even now. Not like he just walks into the class and then he sits, looks around. And then I guess things in his mind happen. So this Swamiji can simply come in without any background. And he says, so what are we talking about? He doesn't ask that, but then he sits there, and so one day he came to Ahmedabad ashram. Swami said, you are unique, talk about that. No. So even the topic also, he may have heard or not heard, I do not know. So, I guess that Swami did not require any preparation. Also had done so many things, so many times, so long. And in later years he could not even read, isn't it? So even when he conducted Brahma Sutra, Chatussutra classes, it must be all what's there in the memory. So that is one kind of thing. I'm not quite there, and therefore I usually look at, prepare. Prepare means I go through the section. What you may talk here could be different from, what was thought there. But for you people, then when you start teaching, always prepare for the class. If for nothing else, then you know that what you are going to talk about. What you may talk may be different from what you have prepared anyway. But that you have prepared makes you relaxed. A relaxed mind, which will do things. At that time you realize what all you know, or what all is inside. When the mind is relaxed, it just manifests itself. And here we have all these smiling, bright faces. So it's easier. Not that, but so. How to get over tamas to grow in sadhana? The question is sincere. Here there is an acceptance, an admission that there is tamas. So for sadhana, the first step is recognition of what is and where we start and what we have to reach. So process, as you know, is from tamas to rajas to sattva. If tamas is there, the best way is to engage into some activity, some seva activity, not just activity. Because when the mind gets to do something, becomes active. And if what is done in the form of seva, then that transforms the mind slowly from tamas to. When you start doing, already you have transformed it from tamas to rajas. And what you do is done in the spirit of seva, that transforms it from rajas to sattva. And so, some good seva activity is desirable. When you feel in the mind there is no motivation, no enthusiasm, feel like taking rest. So that is a time when we can engage. Of course, we can engage ourselves in yoga and pranayama also. Some activity which is conducive to making the mind calm, sattvic. And depends on what possibilities there are of activities. But yes, if you can do pranayama, very good. Or some other activity, seva activity, where the whole body gets engaged. But that's what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajyayohya karmanah. Shariraya pichate na prasiddhyet akarmanah. So Arjuna became tamasic. When he says, I don't want to do anything, it can be interpreted as there's no motivation to do. He lost all motivation, all enthusiasm. Means tamas took over him. Therefore, the way that Lord Krishna prescribes is to engage into action. Not just any action. Niyatam kuru karmatvam. Perform your duty. Do what is right. And duty means an action in the spirit of serving, offering. So that kind of action is what Lord Krishna prescribes as the means of overcoming tamas. Now, if it's not possible for you to go out and do things, then do pranayama, some such activity. Some exercise. So blood circulation takes place. Mind gets a little active. So it happens. Tamas does happen. And so, think of what it is that you can do. Even some exercise, some jumping up and down, some breathing exercise. Because you are in your room, and so where will you go out for some seva, pravritti, etc. So, but some activity is the answer to arousing the mind from slumber to activity. And then, when the mind becomes active, engage it in something which is beneficial, ideally beneficial to someone else. Again, if that is not possible, then beneficial to yourself in terms of the action can be chanting something, reciting something. Take a walk while repeating Bhagavan's name. So bring in Ishvara in some way or the other. So that's what we can do when, and this is a very common thing. Tamas is quite common. In today's movie, for addressing the Shankara, they said, somebody will come who will reconcile the Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism. Regard this statement, what is the truth behind and how do you see? As far as I understand, Shankaracharya refuted Buddhism and Jainism for very simple reason. They are Nastikas, meaning that they do not accept Veda as Pramana. And for a Vedika, like Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, rejection of Veda is simply not acceptable because of the strong trust, Shraddha, that Veda is Pramanam and as is the only means of upliftment of the human being. And when Jains and Buddhas, they rejected Veda, they would think that that's a way of destruction. Because Veda is the only source of knowledge. It's a means of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So, I do not think that Shankaracharya would want to reconcile Jainism and Buddhism and Hinduism. I do not think that he had done that, in my opinion, anyway. Because how do you reconcile the thing that doesn't accept Ishvara? Buddhism and Jainism both they are Nastika in two ways. Nastika. First, Nastika who does not accept the Pramanya of Veda, and second, Nastika who does not accept the existence of Ishvara. Now they may have their own agenda in those assumptions. It may be just a reaction, to what was there at that time in the Vedic society. But for whatever reason, both these traditions not only rejected Vedas, because Vedas were interpreted as violent. It is true also that the Vedic karma religion had deteriorated into all kinds of karma, which involved himsa, which involved sacrifice of animals. And it was openly himsa. And both of them revolted to that. And Gautam Buddha, he prescribed compassion. And Swami prescribed ahimsa, non-violence, which is understandable. But in my opinion, what one should do is what Lord Krishna did or what Adi Shankaracharya did. Not throw away the baby along with bathwater. Yes, the whole tradition needed to be reformed. Now, it is true that violence is most undesirable, and violence is because of the way the rituals are performed in certain way. So change that. Why do you throw away the Vedas altogether? What is the need of rejecting Vedas? Even rejecting karma. Reject the way the karma is performed and show the people the right way to do things. That's what Lord Krishna did. He did not start a new tradition. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan havyam vivasvan manave praha manurikshva kave bravit evam parampara praptam imam raja viduhu sevayam mayate yoga prokta puratana. Lord Krishna doesn't have any pride of starting something new. He's happy to be part of the same tradition. That here, Arjuna, today I have imparted to you the same knowledge that was imparted by me in the beginning of this creation to Vivasvan. So that's the way. The reformers reform things and not throw away the basic tradition. There is no doubt that every time some course correction is needed. The disorder has a tendency to grow. The entropy always grows. That's the nature of entropy and disorder. You need not do anything for disorder to take place. It will take care of itself. We need to do something to set order So it is true that disorder had set into the Vedic culture. That yes, it was sort of exploited by Western interests, who use the rituals also for their own personal gain. All there is. But what it needed was a reforming, teaching how to do things. That is what exactly, this is what Kumarila Bhatta did. He re-established the Vedic religion, culture, Vedic karma, which had deteriorated by then and which was almost abolished because of the Buddhism, etc. So he was the one who drove out Buddha, not even Shankaracharya. The one that is primarily, the credit goes to Kumaril Bhatt, who propagated the Vedic religion and the karma. And Buddhas who rejected this, they were out. He was the one. Although they say that Shankaracharya did it, but most work was done by Kumaril Bhatt. As I understand, he went to study this Buddhism so that he can come out and refute Buddhism. He did not go there as some kind of general interest. How do they, what do they have that they are able to refute Hinduism? And that is how he went there, supposedly to study Buddhism, so that he can refute them. I personally don't think that he needed to go there. I don't think so. You think Kumaril Bhatta had to go there to study Buddhism? Kya baat hai? He could, but anyway, that's the story. He went there. And naturally, they were condemning the Vedas. I mean, that was going on, he is listening here, and there are tears in his eyes, and people, what's happening to this person? Why is he crying? He is an imposter. They were spotted. A lot of dramatization is there, but the story, as I understand, is a story like this. And he came out, of course, if they threw him up, they punished him. So if Vedas are pramana, that's why he lost one if. So that's a story. But he came out and did his work, went around, refuted Buddhism, and established the Vedic religion. So that credit goes to him, to Kumaril Bhatta. So even Shankaracharya had great respect for him. So apparently, as I understand, he came to Kumaril Bhatta requesting him to write a Vartika, isn't it? On Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Or Brahma Sutra Bhashya, I guess. Veda Vyasa told him. So came to request him to write a Vartika on Brahma Sutra Bhashya. What respect he must have had for Kumaril Bhatta. He said, I would have done it, but now I am this stage where there is nothing I can do. Go to my disciple, Mandan Mishra. That's but they have done apparently a lot of research, and the story is being told in this way. But Kumaril Bhatta was a great savior, not well known to us, because he is Karmakandi, Mimamsaka. And Mimamsa also was refuted by Shankaracharya as a means of moksha. Not karma cannot be refuted by anybody. But the view that karma becomes means for moksha, that part, Shankaracharya cannot refute karma, he cannot refute Veda. That was Avaidika. He only refuted this notion that karma is a means to moksha or fulfillment in life. That's all he refuted. Because he always prescribed karma himself. Karma is always the means of antakarana shuddhi. Tamedam Vedanuvachanena Brahmana Vividishanti Yagnena Danena Tapasa Anashakena. So, what Bhashyakara said is that Veda is one text, not two different texts. Not Karma Kanda one and Jnana Kanda different. That Karma Kanda is one, Anubandha Chatushtaya, and Jnana Kanda, these two chapters are not there, one chapter, one Veda. And karma is a means of jnana. Karma is not a means of moksha. That's what they would say. Karma is not even prescribed for swarga and things like that. It's prescribed. So the person will perform karma, sakama karma, and himself will realize the futility of this fulfilling kamana, and that's how the vairagya will be created. So even sakama karma also will create vairagya in course of time. So karma is only meant for vairagya, not for fulfilling desire. That is the theory. That's the thesis. And so karma is a means of jnana. This is how Bhashyakara Acharya taught. In Upadesha Sahasri, etc., becomes very clear, makes it very clear. And so he did not dismiss karma or dismiss anything. Because in fact Vedantins are very clever people. They utilize all the thought development of everybody else. So Vyavahara tu Bhattanaya. So all Vyavahara is according to Bhatta. So you don't have to think yourself. He has already thought about it. The Sankhya has thought about it, Mimamsaka has thought about it. So why do you reinvent the wheel? So whatever they have thought, accept those thoughts. And where we feel that they are distracted in terms of the darshanam, in terms of the nature of reality, that is where we will differ. But otherwise, what all prakriyas they have developed are very valuable. So it's not dismissing anything. It is reconciling everything. That's what Bhashyakara would do. Any intelligent person would do.
Swamiji, interesting that Buddhism, which is in Sri Lanka, so much, and there you can't find a vegetarian restaurant. They've become dharma that ahimsa paramo dharam, and they are Buddhist, and they have maximum non-veg stuff. You can't find a vegetarian restaurant when we went there. So it's such a sad state of affairs that but their basis was to refute the Vedic thing that there is too much of this
Violence.
Yes, yeah. So,
it all starts as an ideal. Buddhism did not accept Ishvara. But human being requires Ishvara. So Buddha himself is worshipped as Ishvara. And then so many devatas and tantra and all sorts of things seeped into Buddhism. By the time it came to Shankaracharya, it was already very, there lots of distortions had entered into that. Because that's human nature. Jains also don't accept Ishvara. So then those Tirthankas are worshipped as Bhagavan. They have big temples and very elaborate rituals. Not the way Mahavir Swami founded it. Not the way Gautam Buddha founded it. But then that is how slowly people need that. As long as Gautam Buddha is alive, they don't need anything. Because of what he was. Once that influence wanes away, then people need something to get inspired. So slowly Ishvara will come, creep in some way or the other. in all traditions. Hmm. One second, kindly speak in the microphone.
Hari Om Swamiji. If Buddhism has negated our Vedas, then why in the Dasavtaras are we including Buddha as one of the avatar of Vishnu?
I guess that was a political thing, to include them also. I would think so. So even Jaidev also is included, Buddha. And he says, oh, how sad it is, that you have to reject Vedas for conveying ahimsa, that you rejected the Vedas. He says. So he doesn't like that Kavi Jayadev has written the Dashavatara Stotra. He was not happy that Buddha rejected Vedas. But then, that he had to reject the violence, and for that you reject the karma. So, I don't know, it must be a political thing to make them feel included. Where Buddha? Buddha? Oh, then what she's suggesting is the Buddha who is included as incarnation is not the Buddha that was that Buddha. I mean, okay, that's another explanation. Huh? No, what the suggestion is that Buddha who is included as the avatara is not the same Buddha who is founder of Buddhism. That sets an explanation also given by some people, I guess. Shankar Digvijay says that? Alright, સારું આ તો મેં જરા જોવું પડશે. What she says in Shankar Digvijay, there is a description of another Buddha whose parents are different, place of birth is different, and Buddha is different. But I guess now I have not read in detail enough to note this. Swamiji, you talked about the 10th man being lost or confused about the self. But I, as the only man, is still not fully established in oneness of I and Brahman. Even though I am making effort, there is talk in scriptures about life of a jiva being wasted if one is not established in Brahman. Is my life wasted? As long as you are making an effort, as long as we are on the journey, even if you have not reached the destination, since you are on the right path, therefore, today or tomorrow you will reach the destination. So as long as the process is right, so long the life is utilized, not wasted. This can be said as Arthavada to arouse people's commitment that hey, the life is very short, human birth is very rare, you have an opportunity, work hard, make the best of it. which is good. But at the same time, to say that if you have not reached the destination, life is wasted, I would not say so. Because this is not the work of one lifetime anyway. I am sure that the fact that we are doing what we are doing this life is the culmination of what must have been done in many lives. Not just an accident that you are here studying or we are doing what we are doing. It's not work of one lifetime. It is the continuation of what's going on. That's the 6th chapter, Lord Krishna says that. And therefore, what we are doing in this lifetime will contribute to our journey. But that doesn't mean that, hoti hai, chalti hai, Swamiji said that, So then there is also a laxity of effort. And so that should not happen. That's why they say, if you don't do it this time, you're gone. So sort of warn us, make us create a greater commitment in us. So if you now hear from me that no, the life is not wasted, then you're relaxed. All right then, I'll do something next life, Then next life also can be wasted. Because if you lose the momentum, then you will be born without momentum. So continue the momentum. So the momentum will continue in the following life also. Some school of thought says it would have been Sattvamasi, or kindly elaborate on Tattvamasi. So, have you said Sattvamasi? A Tattvamasi, somebody may say. Elaborate on Tattvamasi. This is what we discussed in the class today. That Tvam, meaning you, who takes yourself to a Jivatma, a limited being, is in fact Tat, Brahman, limitless. That way we are invited to look at, understand that at every moment we are entertaining a judgment or conclusion about the self. Every moment there is this awareness, who am I? So that judgment or the conclusion takes place habitually. Therefore we are told, hey, you are Brahman. And thus, if you pay attention to what my mind is saying as to who I am, that's the time to educate the mind. What is the reason why you say that you are a Jivatma? What reason do you have? It's a good question to ask. I am a Jivatma, how can I be Brahman? That's the usual question. What is the reason that you have to say that you are Jivatma? I am Jivatma, but how do you say that? What reason do I have to say I am Jivatma, Swamiji? How? I have this body, so what? I have this mind, so what? You have the body, you have the mind, you have this, that. But as I said that I am a Jivatma also is a conclusion which is not arrived at by any kind of rational thinking. It's a habitual thing. If I sat down one morning and decided who am I and I came to the conclusion, I am a Jiva. If it's some kind of a logical reason to say that I am a Jivatma, I am a limited, yes, but my body is limited. Your body is limited. What makes you limited? My mind is limited. Your mind is limited. Meaning that I do not really have any rational or logical reason to say that I am Jivatma. I am saying it all right. But it is said without thinking. That is why we are asked to think. That you have no reason to say that I am a human being, Swamiji. What is human being? Yeah, this body is human being. I am a limited being. Yeah, the mind is limited. But I am limited. There is no rational reason to lump I am unlimited. We do it, it's a different matter. But there is avichara siddha, there is no vichara or deliberation. That's why we are asked to do vichara. Shanti mantra te mai santu came twice. So that is when a text is completed, then the last words are repeated. That's the only thing. Because this Shanti mantra would come at the end of the text. And therefore it shows a conclusion of the text. Te mai santu. Te mai santu. That is the only reason why it is there twice. Alright, any other question? We are done. Yeah, huh?